Hello, welcome to our August segment of A View into the Collection. This segment is part 2 of Seasons of Dance at the Pueblos. In June, I shared art and dance regalia from our collection associated with Pueblo feast days and the Eagle Dance. In part 2, I will share with you art associated with Pueblo dances held during the fall and winter months, the Deer Dance and the Buffalo Dance. I want to share a quote from Jemez Pueblo historian and author Joe Sando. Sando wrote in his book, Pueblo Nations, quote, "Various dances were held according to the seasons. Prayer dances for rain during the growing season, for snow during the winter season, Thanksgiving dances for a bountiful harvest or a successful hunt." End quote. I wanted to share Joe Sando's quote again to remind us all of the cyclical nature of the Pueblo's communal prayers shared through dance and song. As we transition from the hot summer months into the cooler temperatures of fall and winter, the beat of the drum continues. The summer feast day dances sent out prayers for good rainfall and a successful fall harvest. During the cooler months, prayerful dances are performed in honor of certain animals for a successful hunt. In winter, holiday celebrations coincide with various dances at the Pueblos. Each dance brings families and communities together in a perpetual cycle of prayer and acknowledgement. So I do want to mention that with the onset of the COVID-19 virus, our Pueblo communities have not only suffered losses, we were also unable to gather for our annual traditional or social dances. This year, our summer in New Mexico brought and continues to bring a lot of much needed rain. My hope is that our Pueblo farmers have a successful growing season. As fall approaches, we anticipate an abundant harvest of produce, and the Pueblo communities prepare for the upcoming hunting and holiday seasons. A successful hunt is reinforced with annual dances honoring game animals. Usually danced in the colder winter months, the deer dance unites the Pueblo community where and when performed. A successful hunt guarantees sustenance by way of the meat provided by a felled deer. Some may utilize the deer hide for making moccasins. Hence, the deer dance is depicted in paintings and prints. Another deer representation is often depicted on pottery jars as a deer with a red heart line. These artworks add another layer of respect and reverence to the deer. In our collection, we have a small assortment of pottery jars on which are painted the deer with heartline motif. The deer is either situated as the only design motif with multiple deer covering the body or amongst an array of geometric designs. 3 of these 4 polychrome jars from Zuni Pueblo are made by Jenny Lada, and 1 is made by Anderson Peinetza. Peinetza learned the art of pottery making from Jenny Lada, and the similarities are striking. Jenny Lada taught pottery classes at the high school on the Pueblo of Zuni. In these beautiful jars, we see repeating designs that are well balanced around the jars. The slip painted areas are laid out in rows, depicting the deer with heartline within a framing design element. Among the designs are large floral medallions, beautifully breaking up the rows of deer and other motifs. Another style of deer with heartline is seen on these 2 jars from the Pueblo of Acoma. Here the deer are the main design element, repeated around the body. Acoma's stark white slip acts as the backdrop of the black and red painted deer. It is said that the heartline represents life-giving breath. The red arrow begins at the mouth, where breath gives life, and aims toward the heart, where inner strength resides. The deer dancer wears an impressive display of handmade regalia. The overall effect, once dressed in full regalia, dancing with 2 ornate sticks held in their hands and bent forward, the male dancer becomes a deer. In these depictions, one sees the direct influence of the deer dance on an artist's creative mind. First, this small red seed jar features a deer dancer etched into the red slip in a style called sgraffito, which is a light scratching of the slip, making designs with the negative space created. Replete with details of deer horns, embroidered dance kilt, crocheted leggings, and woven sash belt worn at the waist. This deer dancer sits within an oval frame surrounded by step designs signifying mountains and rain clouds. This small seed jar was made by Grace Medicine Flower of Santa Clara Pueblo. It was donated by Mary Ellen Blair in 2001. The next piece is a wood carving of a deer dancer at Okeowinge. The deer dancers dance with one longer stick as opposed to two shorter ones. Here we see in color and the yellow and green headdress and yellow moccasins. It is signed with the last name of Maestas on the bottom and was donated by one of our longtime volunteers, Nancy Williams. She has since passed on, but I have many fond memories of her good and humorous spirit. The deer dancer figure is seen in many paintings. Pablita Velarde of Santa Clara Pueblo depicted a single deer dancer in her signature style of hand-ground pigments on masonite board. With her steady hand, she captures minute details in the evergreen bound at the upper arms by turquoise blue leather arm bands and the crisscross details in the crocheted leggings. He wears a string of shells around his shoulder. These shell bandoliers create a hollow-sounding jingle as he dances, and the silver bells around his waist add to the overall concert of sound mixed with men singing and the boom of the drum, keeping the beat. The watercolor on paper by Tim V. Hill of Tesuque Pueblo captures a deer dancer in mid-stride with his head tilted to the left. The easy lines bring to life a contemplative moment. The green and red headdress surrounded by the evergreen draws our eyes to the soft features of the dancer's face. V. Hill captures the colorful embroidered details on his dance kilt and the prominent antlers of a deer painted black with white spots. Similar in simplicity is Julian Martinez's watercolor on paper. Julian was married to renowned potter Maria Martinez, and both were from the Pueblo of San Ildefonso. He was responsible for painting the designs on many of Maria's pottery pieces. This painting was painted in the early 1930s and is a good example of the work produced at that time. It is signed by Julian and was donated in 1987 by Mary House in memory of Ethel Van Cleve. We do not have many paintings of this period in our art collection, so this one is special. A final depiction of a deer dancer is an acrylic on paper by Fernando Padilla of San Felipe Pueblo. Padilla is a multimedia artist, and this particular piece features cut watercolor paper, giving the final work a layered three-dimensional feel. His deer dancer is crouched low in a mid-dance stance. Here we see the dancer in all of his finery, a lavender long-sleeve shirt, embroidered dance kilt, woven sash belt, deer headdress with feathers, and skunk fur-covered moccasins. His stylized version of a sun face hovers above him with a wash of orange light surrounding him, providing a feeling of warmth and encouragement. The night sky sits behind the sun face, and he dances atop a row of cloud and dance and rain designs. Which are often seen embroidered on dance kilts or on women's dance dresses. This was created in 1992 and purchased from a collector in the mid-1990s. Padilla relates in a 2017 interview, quote, "My painting is representational, which is a style that suits me since I can be as creative as the idea dictates. Add to that my three-dimensional applications, and the result is something that most people haven't seen before. A dry brush technique gives my paintings a pastel appearance to many observers. As I create an idea, it may undergo several formats and mediums: drawing, painting, sculpture. I may follow an idea or image for several years through this progression. For instance, concepts of corn mother, deer dancer, elk, eagle dancer, and ancient doors." End quote. As you can see, the deer is revered and respected by our Pueblo people. The dance inspires the imagination of the artist. Much like the Love Deer dance, the buffalo dance is performed in the colder months. These dances continue to this day to ensure good health for the Pueblo communities, prayers for snow, an abundance of game, and a fruitful hunting season. It is not uncommon to see a buffalo dance performed in seasons other than the winter. This social dance also carries prayers for all. In our collection, we care for a few buffalo dance paintings. Joseph Tapia's rendition of a single buffalo dancer showcases his use of fine line detail to capture a tranquil moment. His dance kilt depicts the Avanu, or water serpent. The silver cones tied to the bottom of his kilt add to the sound as he lifts and drops each foot in time with the beat of the drum. Tapia attended a tribal college in Oklahoma, and in 1986 he won a first-place award at Santa Fe Indian Market for one of his paintings. Tapia passed away in 1991 at the young age of 32. Gilbert Atencio's take on the buffalo dancer is also in profile from a ground level, capturing a dancer in mid-step with his left arm up as he holds a bow in his hand. We see the precision of detail throughout his painting. He painted his watercolors in a flat, featureless background style, and later he embellished his paintings of Pueblo dancers with abstract design elements. His occupation as a medical and technical illustrator clearly influenced his paintings. The added geometric flourish at the bottom and bottom right corner attest to that. Atencio donated his painting to the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center in 1981. He served in the United States Marine Corps and was from the Pueblo of San Ildefonso, where he served as their governor in 1966. Gilbert's art was influenced by his family, and he is the nephew of famed potter Maria Martinez. His art teacher at the Santa Fe Indian School, another renowned artist, Geronima Cruz Montoya, said of her student, quote, "Gilbert is such a wonderful person, so humble, very kind gentleman. He's just so sincere in the work that he does." End quote. Finally, the buffalo dance painted by Jose Ray Toledo of Jemez Pueblo is a watercolor from 1984. Two male buffalo dancers dance beside the female buffalo maiden. In rich colors, Toledo fills the watercolor paper with a frontal view. Perspective without the use of background or foreground details is left to the viewer's imagination. Toledo was a well-educated man who held a bachelor's and master's degree from the University of New Mexico in Fine Arts. He also obtained a Master of Public Health degree from the University of California, Berkeley in 1972. Though he paused his pursuit as a painter while working on his education, he never truly stopped painting. Toledo painted one of our murals in the courtyard of the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. He donated the buffalo dance painting in 1985, and on the back of his painting he wrote, quote, "After the hunters' return, there was feasting and dancing in the pueblos. Dancers representing the buffalo usually led the performance. Male dancers of all ages performed the animal dances. Only a few women danced. They represented the female species of the animals. End quote. Toledo painted the Buffalo Maiden, and another Jemez Pueblo artist, Rose Pecos Sun Rhodes, created a beautifully crafted clay Buffalo Maiden. The carefully formed and applied clay pieces that form her headdress bring her to life, as does her partially hidden face. I find this sculptured form original in its execution, especially when compared to her current storyteller figures. It is hollow and light when picked up, and the narrow bottom highlights the extraordinary detail of the buffalo headdress. She wears a shell and he-she necklace, and she is striking. Rose lives in Wyoming with her husband and children, and her piece was purchased by funds generated by our friends of the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center group in 1995. With that, I want to thank you again for your attention and support. Join me next month and I will share more art from our collection with a focus on harvesting at the Pueblos, and I will share with you images of corn and squash, two of the three sisters. Thank you.